Who is helping keep our fleet, our Air Force fleet, up in the air, literally? Well, the answer, part of that, is our next speakers, two former Air Force fighter pilots. They'll be representing the warfighter today, the people who are protecting our nation and our allies through active deployment, research opportunities, joint training exercises, and so much more. And they're going to be sharing their experiences and perspectives to illustrate the point why warfighters need to be in AFRL's proverbial room where it happens. So, to illustrate that better than I ever could, please welcome to the stage. We have, well, as we get up here, we have welcome to the stage James, or SAS Bieryla, Kevin Price, and their talk about why it's important to continue amplifying warfighter culture.
I was an active duty Air Force pilot.
I was an Air National Guard pilot.
I served for 20 years as a fighter pilot and a test pilot.
I split my time as a fighter pilot and as an Air Force civilian.
I primarily flew F-15s.
I flew F-16s.
Well, I specialized in air superiority.
I was proficient in both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions.
I had 2 engines.
I had a wingspan smaller than a tennis court.
I had enough fuel to stay airborne for more than 5 minutes.
And I gunned your aircraft weekly in training.
I lost dozens of friends in aircraft accidents.
I lost several as well.
I am passionate about helping the Air Force and the Space Force succeed.
I'm also passionate about helping our Air Force and Space Force succeed.
We are AFRL researchers
who are amplifying warfighter culture.
My name is James Bieryla. I go by the call sign SAS. I'm the director of AFRL Strategic Partnering. And along with the F-15, I also flew F-117s, F-22s, and several other aircraft before I retired from my active duty career. I've been a civilian in AFRL for the past 7.5 years, working everything from innovation initiatives to classified technology development.
My name is Kevin Price. I'm a computer scientist here in AFRL's Aerospace Systems Directorate. I've had a blended Air National Guard, Air Force Reserve, and Air Force civilian career. I flew the F-16 with the Air National Guard and also during an exchange tour with the Netherlands Air Force. I came to AFRL militarily in 2014 and transferred here as a civilian in 2016. My work at AFRL focuses on improving aircraft safety and optimizing mission effectiveness through autonomy.
We talk a lot about research, about development, about making innovation happen, but question though, what innovation should we do? Our requirements come from the major commands, from Air Force futures, from our commanders, but occasionally those requirements can be quite broad, such as develop a hypersonic vehicle, or develop autonomous technologies to enable manned-unmanned teaming. But things like how fast, how far, how many, and most importantly, what specific requirements do the warfighters need are often not well defined for us as researchers.
It is 1997, and when the U.S. is 4 years out from the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. I just come into an in my Air Force civilian role, I just come into an engineering group working hardware and software upgrades to the same model of F-16 I was flying with the Air National Guard. The central focus of that upgrade was a new navigation, GPS-based navigation system. The broad requirement was to integrate GPS while maintaining baseline navigation capabilities. From having flown the F-16, I had become aware and recognized a serious deficiency the F-16 had in the coordinate system that was used for the close air support, or CAS mission, in which we protect our troops who are on the ground and come into very close proximity with the enemy. The Army used one coordinate system and the Air Force another, and as a result, the F-16 was very limited in its CAS mission capability. From a chance conversation with the lead navigation engineer, I learned that the new GPS system would support the system used by the Army, the coordinate system used by the Army. Working with the lead navigation engineer, Jeff, if you're listening today, thank you, I was able to influence the adoption of this coordinate system into the F-16. I actually led the design that was ultimately transitioned, fielded into well over 1,000 U.S. Air Force and partner F-16s. The new coordinate system fielded in the spring of 2001. Some 6 months later, the U.S. was at war in Afghanistan after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. The new coordinate system was a major enabler in improving mission effectiveness and protecting our troops who would come under attack.
Same year, 1997, I was deployed to Saudi Arabia flying F-15s over Iraq. And I remember one particularly cloudy and moonless night flying along at Mach 1, 40,000 feet, when all of a sudden, all my displays went blank. So think about that for a minute. If you were to close your eyes, you would picture exactly what I saw at 40,000 feet in Mach 1. No stars, no moon, no horizon, no displays. Can you picture it? All right, I'm going to help you. Cut the lights. So to rectify this problem, I had to accomplish a 9-step procedure. Hold, reset gen, reset link, out of hold, eject cartridge, swap cartridge, select program, load Castle Wright. All right, did you get all that? Let's try it again. Hold, reset gen, reset link, out of hold, eject cartridge, swap cartridge, select program, load Castle Wright. So that procedure took 14 seconds to complete. It required a 9-step process with multiple switches, multiple cartridge actions. That's a lot to remember. What if I did it out of sequence? What if I hit a wrong button? You know, it's tough enough trying to do all that here on the ground, right? Or as we like to say, 0 knots and 1 G. But what about at 40,000 feet and 10 miles per minute and 0 visual cues? It would have been nice if the avionics engineer or the computer scientist could have pictured what we just pictured. I would have appreciated a warfighter's perspective when this technology or this procedure was being developed. In other words, I would have appreciated an amplification of warfighter culture. So what is amplifying warfighter culture? Well, amplifying warfighter culture means connecting every airman and every guardian to the mission. It means bringing the end user to the very front of the design process. It means making sure we focus all our actions on operational success. And why is that important? Because when our warfighters are operating in combat, they don't have time for a 9-step process that takes 14 seconds. Think back to Kevin's GPS story and how that enabled precision targeting. When we amplify warfighter culture, we multiply mission effectiveness and we save lives.
Another great example of incorporating the warfighter perspective is Auto-GCAS, the Automatic Ground Collision Avoidance System, which has saved 13 F-16 pilots since 2014. Garnering the warfighter perspective was critical in ensuring that the system would function as designed, that would be accepted by the warfighter, and would ultimately save lives. AFRL, you did this.
In January 2018, AutoGCAS was credited with one of its most dramatic saves to date. A student pilot, on only his 8th training flight in the F-16, fell unconscious under high G-forces. In full afterburner, 55 degrees nose low, inverted, approaching supersonic speed, and only seconds away from death, AutoGCAS automatically executed a recovery maneuver to clear the rapidly rising terrain. Here is the recorded video of the F-16's head-up display during the actual operational AutoGCAS save.
Altitude. Staff flare. Pull up.
All of us at AFRL, by keeping that warfighter perspective in the front of our minds, can better develop life-saving and transformational combat-enabling capabilities. But how can we gain that perspective as a standard operating procedure versus by chance, such as the example I gave you earlier with the F-16 coordinate system? Let's break it down into 3 steps.
First, own your legacy. Tell stories. Listen to stories. We've already started today by listening to 2 stories. Of course, mine was much better because it was about F-15s. Read books. Visit museums. This is your legacy. Own it. Second, make it real. Go out there and experience the warfighter perspective. Visit an operational base. Meet the people using your technology. A few years ago, we took a team out to Red Flag, the Air Force's premier aerial combat training exercise out at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. And for an entire week, our AFRL team got to smell the flight line, see a mass launch of 100 planes in 15 minutes, hear the roaring engines, even got to fly on a mission to feel the rumbling of the airplane and to experience the environment. You can bet that the Red Flag experience made it real for that team, and it's paying dividends in their daily work. And finally, connect the dots. Seek out users. Make an operationally informed connection between your technology and the warfighter. Connect the dots with warfighters.
Do you recognize any of these folks up here today? Let's help you out here a little bit. Older, grayer, but still here. Bolder too. So, for those in the audience, those of you that are either current or previous warfighters that have operational or test experience, whether it's pilot, maintainer, logistician, engineer, scientist, maintainer, intel, please stand up. There'll be a few. Sir, I know at least there's one other fighter pilot in the office here today, so, but not. And of course, across the entirety of AFRL, we have folks such as the general here, Sass and I, that are an available internal resource to you to collaborate, facilitate collaboration and communication with the warfighter beyond our walls. AFRL has taken a number of other initiatives to connect with the warfighter. We have the new Customer Engagement Directorate, the Transformational Capabilities Office, we have the Mission Area Leads, and another thing which I'm quite passionate about is the Warfighter Working Group, something I'm directly involved with. What is the Warfighter Working Group? It is current or former operators within AFRL that are available to the lab, available to you as a researcher. We can answer questions like how fast, how far, how many, and most importantly, how would this technology, how could it be used and how would it be used? If we don't know the answer, Sass and I, we know people from a long, long Air Force career, we can connect with them. So I would encourage you to take advantage of this Warfighter Working Group. You can find us, talk to me or Sass later. And for the researchers that are looking for Warfighter Working Group members, you can find that on the SME Tech Connect portal, and I think you'll benefit significantly from that. So connect the dots. We're here. Let's work together as a team.
It's part of a larger initiative we're working on to drive the fight and to strengthen partnerships both inside and outside of AFRL. In fact, my own directorate, the Strategic Partnering Directorate, was stood up just this year to harness the full power of the world's science and technology ecosystem in order to deliver those needed game-changing capabilities to airmen and to guardians. The Warfighter Working Group and the Strategic Partnering Directorate are just two of the initiatives that AFRL has started, and there are many more in the works as AFRL continues to strengthen partnerships and amplify warfighter culture en route to providing transformational and innovative capabilities. So, remember these 3 steps. Own your legacy. Make it real. Connect the dots. Did you see someone stand up that you didn't know was a warfighter? Go shake their hand. Go ask a question. Go listen to their stories. We are all AFRL researchers. We can all amplify warfighter culture. One team.
One fight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Sass and Kevin. Your journey of connecting research leads with warfighter needs really is showing that our one team, one fight mission is not only possible, it's happening. Now, while I'm no pilot, I do have a prop here. Back when I was a kid, my dad worked at GE Aviation, so he thought it'd be cool to get me a lovely F-16 model. And a colleague of mine did point out it's got some dated munitions, but it's still great. You can see it right here, it's pretty cool. Now, that stated, I do have to say that because of owning this, I'm a little more partial to the F-16, so I'm sorry about that, Sass. And that said, too, for those of you online and those pretty close, you can notice this guy's a little worse for wear, missing some other munitions, parts have chipped off. The years have gone by. I'm going to have to pick on you one more time. Andrew, I need to connect with your people. Hopefully the robotic blacksmith can print off some tiny little parts to fix this. We'll reach it, talk after, don't worry. But that right there, though, that's a sign again of finding the right wingman for the right job, right? And that's what we at AFRL have the privilege of knowing, that we have these brilliant people to find. It's just knowing what they do. And that really illustrates what we've done here today. Connecting to the right people, finding the right team, building the best team. So, as festivities here begin to come to a close, and we approach the terminal here with our aircraft, AFRL Inspire only has a few minutes left. But that said, unbuckle your seatbelts, don't do that yet. The seatbelt sign's still on. Because we're gonna take a moment here to reflect on what we learned today, to see kind of what we can take with us as we leave and go about our day. Our speakers have taught us that in order to build the best team, we need people like fellow co-pilots. We need warfighters, researchers, and engineers, whether they're materials, biomedical, anything. Even programmers, and even people like our unmanned systems that Matt Duquette's team is working on. There's so much out there to build that dream team. And more importantly, we need to make sure we're reaching out to the right people, our allied nations, academia, people out in industry and beyond, to really show that we are one team in one fight in a much broader category. That stated, as a dungeon master, remember that from the top, I do know that every great journey does have to come to a close, but it's the party or people that make that possible. So I do want to thank all the speakers today and everyone who took part. So let's give them a round of applause for the amazing work they did. So I will leave you with this. All the lessons we've learned today, let's take that out and inspire those around us, because our job is never really done. While I'm looking at all of you, I see the dream team, but there's parts that we still need to work on to improve and to make better. But every dream team and every person, or I should say initiative here, needs a great leader. So please welcome back to the stage for some closing remarks and closing thoughts, AFRL Commander, Brigadier General Scott Kane.
Well, I'll just say it's an amazing afternoon, and I appreciate everybody who made this happen for AFRL and everybody who's watching. I do want to give very special thanks to our speakers today. And I give them those thanks because they had the courage to take on tough problems, but the courage to get on this stage. Your guts are inspiring, so thank you. And as I get off the stage here, there was a little bit of a glimpse into the future there, but there's a little bit of a glimpse into the people of AFRL and the fire and all of them. And I want you to join us, and I thank you for joining us today. Thank you.